Welcome to Daily Dose Radio, a 5-minute devotional podcast studying the Psalms verse by verse. Broadcast from the ever-beautiful Sharonville, Ohio, on the sunny side of Cincinnati. Hey, Free Rangers, welcome back to Organic Bible Study, free of MSG and GMOs. This is fresh, responsibly handled, locally sourced Bible study. Best 5-minute Bible study you'll find on the internet, studying the Psalms verse by verse, 5 minutes a day. Period. There, I said it. Now, today we're looking at verses 33 through 35. We're going to begin today with sort of a thread that we find it throughout this psalm. It kind of jumps around a little bit, but it's all over the place, especially here in the second half of the psalm. On that thread, well, let me just go ahead and read for you, and we'll talk about it. 33 through 35, let me read those for you. To him that rideth upon the heavens of heavens, which were of old, lo, he doth send out his voice, and that a mighty voice. Ascribe ye strength unto God. His excellency is over Israel, and his strength is in the clouds. O God, thou art terrible. Out of thy holy places. The God of Israel is he that giveth strength and power unto his people. Blessed be God. Now, the thread that I've talked about is this thread of the name of God, or the attribution of God throughout the second half of this psalm. We begin with verse 20. He is our God, the God of salvation. Unto God the Lord belong issues of death, but God shall wound the head of his enemies. The Lord said, and then in verse 24, my God, my King is in the sanctuary. Verse 26, bless ye God. Verse 28, thy God hath commanded thy strength, O God, in verse 28. There in verse 31, Ethiopia shall soon stretch out her hands unto God. Sing unto God, ye kingdoms of the earth. So this thread runs all the way through the second half of this psalm. That is not the name of God, not the tetragrammaton, the Lord's name, but his title as God, creator of all things, is used here over and over and over. It's repeated so often that we have to sit up and pay attention to it. And the knot at the end of the string is verse 33. To him that rideth upon the heavens of heavens. So if you can imagine the heavens of heavens, I would say that is far above anything that we can see or have observed, which were of old, lo, he doth send out his voice, and that a mighty voice. So the majesty of God culminates here in this 33rd verse. It all comes together. He's riding upon the heavens of heaven. Lo, he that send out his voice. You see, of old he has done this. He's created all this of old. He sent his voice out of old. When did he do that? Well, go back to creation. Look at his voice in creation. He speaks. And what happens? Things jump into existence. That's what happens when he speaks. His word is power. Verse 34, ascribe ye unto God. There it is again. His excellency is over Israel, and his strength is in the clouds. So, again, his excellency, the primacy of his power, his majesty is seen clearly here in these two verses. And then we end with more of this in verse 35. O God, thou art terrible. Out of thy holy palaces, the God of Israel is he that giveth strength and power unto his people. Blessed be God. So, actually, this whole piece, 33, 34, and 35, is the knot at the end of the string. It holds it all together. We begin back in verse 20, the God of salvation, and we come down to these verses 33 through 35, and not only is he God of salvation, but he is the God who created all things. His voice, his mighty voice, it spoke, and everything jumped into being. Ascribe strength unto God. His excellency is over Israel. His strength is in the clouds. Yes, O God, thou art terrible out of thy holy places. That is, he is to be feared. And then we end with this admonition, blessed be God. Amen. Join me again next week. We'll study Psalm 69 on Daily Dose Radio. Thanks for listening to Daily Dose Radio. I'm David Smith. The music today has been performed by the Bluegrass Experiment. Thanks again for listening. I'll see you next time on Daily Dose Radio.